what to expect. Again, if your family has half the success that mine has had, let me share with you some of the outcomes that we have observed over the course of the last 5 years that we've been doing this. So first of all, there have been a bunch of behavioral changes, and all of this is about getting the kids involved in a different way in the family relative to spending, participating in basically family life. So first of all, we have a lot more help around the house. We don't pack school lunches anymore, but also they're the ones doing some of the kitchen cleanup and some of the help in the yard, and certainly doing their own laundry and things like that. That again, part of it is teaching them the skills of living and adulting, but also it's taking it off of our plate as the kids get older, and that's been amazing. What I also love is that we can say fewer no's. We still say no. Don't get me wrong. We have our boundaries and we have our guidelines and our requirements, but there are fewer no's based on spending. It's more about how much do you have and how much does it cost, and do the two work together, or do you need to wait longer? Would you like to earn more money? What do you need to do? How do you get there? There are new skills, including collaboration, negotiation, problem solving, and initiative. It was interesting. One of the things that the kids did a couple of years ago is they really wanted, especially my son, he really wanted a Nintendo Switch, and those things were about $300 back at the time. I don't know what they cost now, but they were about $300 when he was interested, and he only had about half that. But he noticed that his older sister also liked to play video games, and he said, "Well, maybe we can work together." So he convinced his older sister to go halvesies with him on the Switch itself. There are two controllers, they can play together, they can play alone. And then as they started getting the games, then they would either take turns on who bought the game or that they would buy it together. So both kids now were contributing their assets to be able to buy this Switch, and getting twice the joy out of it. They came up with that all on their own. They did their own negotiations. I was not involved one little bit, nor was their dad. They figured out, hey, I want to solve a problem. I don't have enough money for this, but I want that. And hey, someone else wants that too. And hey, how can we work together? So that was amazing to witness that. They've certainly had extra spending money, whether for family vacations, or I mentioned my son likes to do his scout trips, and being able to take spending money with them on each of these types of excursions gives them the freedom to pick up the souvenir, or to, buy the extra special thing, whatever that thing is, wherever they go. And that's been tremendous for them. We have a big family vacation plan for this coming spring. And one of the things we're talking about is, hey, how much money do you want to save up in anticipation that you're going to want to buy some stuff? And so we're talking about that. We're also talking about, do you guys each maybe want to contribute something back to the family? Again, save up some money. So maybe this lunch is sponsored by kid one, or this excursion is partially sponsored by kid two, depending how much they cost. We don't want to be, insane relative to their income level. But is there a way for the kids to then contribute a bit to the vacation, not just planning what we do with the budget that we allocated, but potentially contributing and giving a little bit back to the family that has given them so much? So we're talking about that, of how do they have spending money, how do they contribute, how do they be a part of it all, again, within the context of their income level and what's important to them. I have seen not just the collaboration, for instance, on buying the Switch, but also I've seen money loaned back and forth between them. So we do not allow them to go into debt. So if you think about Monopoly, the bank does not loan money, but if players want to loan amongst them, they're welcome to do that. And we've seen the kids do that, sometimes with interest, sometimes without. We have had conversations about, well, did you write it down and sign it? The whole idea of, well, where's your interest payment? Or when did you agree that it would be paid back? Or did you already pay it back? And how did you document that the money's been received? And so we've had some of those preliminary contractual kind of conversations about, this is how contracts work. And if it's not written down, it didn't happen. Now, that doesn't mean that the borrower can't still stand by their verbal promise, but if it's not written down, it's really hard to enforce. So they're learning some of those skills and some of those realities of life early on as well. And then lastly, this is just a fun little side note. They've each had an aquarium now, and they've learned that pets can be both fun to have, they can be expensive. Most of the aquariums were acquired on by nothing, someone else getting rid of theirs, so we scoop up a lot of the equipment for free. But the fish, of course, cost money, the food costs money, the filters cost money, and they've gotten a lot of joy out of it. But they've also seen that, hey, this is an expensive endeavor, and it does take me time to refresh the water and clean the tank and whatnot. So each of them has had different experiences along all of these different spending opportunities, but it's been a tremendous opportunity for them to learn, for them to have more control over what it is that is important to them to spend money on. And again, it's building a foundation for future conversations. To that point, there have been some more recent evolutions and some things that we're looking forward to. So right now, I've already mentioned that we opened the first banking accounts, and so all of their spending ledgers are now in Chase Bank. They've also been given use of a family cell phone, so they don't need to pay for the cell phone. We pay for the initial phone and the service, but they need to maintain it. So they need to keep the screen protector on. They need to have phone protectors that are cases. When one of them took the phone swimming this summer and killed the phone, then they had to do the replacement. And so for them, for a couple months before school started, they were really saving up every penny, a couple little purchases here and there, but mostly that eye on the prize of replacing the phone to make sure that they had it when they went back to school. Now, again, they are still under screen time restrictions, and we've got some controls around that, so that hasn't changed. But as they've gotten older, then the decision was, okay, this is a family device that you have, but it's the family's, and you're responsible to have a working device, because a lot of it for us is communication, to give them the independence to be out and about with their friends or at school activities or whatever. I mentioned that our oldest had opened the LLC and the business bank account. She's also working on creating and self-publishing a cookbook on Amazon. I'm not sure how much of that's more because she wants to bake all the cookies to go into the cookbook, or if she actually really wants to, but it's exciting. She's seen me publish. What's great about Amazon KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing is what that stands for, kdp.com. And what's great about that is you, the author, you don't actually pay anything to publish your book. It's when each one is sold, Amazon takes a decent slice out of it and then sends you the rest of it. But in any case, it's a very low barrier to entry that she can do. And so she's working on it, and eventually she'll get it up there and see if she can get any kind of royalties coming off of that. Great passive income creator. My son enjoys WWE. He actually started, I'd mentioned the sub savings accounts in the Chase Bank, the first banking accounts. And so he had actually started a WrestleMania fund for 2024. He and his dad had made a deal that if he saved up some big chunk of change, that then dad would pay the rest. Unfortunately, when they went to price out the tickets, they were kind of starting close to $700 per person per day for like up in the rafters, obstructed view. So they've backed off of that, and maybe they'll think about that for a different year, maybe when there's a little bit more money available. But it was a really great illustration of him saying, this is a pretty sizable goal I want to do, setting it aside and having the discipline to occasionally put some money into that to be saving up for this bigger purpose that he had. And then lastly, I mentioned that we have a real estate business. They have started working for that business. A lot of it is event planning, not planning, but event day of event and preparation activities. There are also more opportunities as they do get older to be a part of it in a more meaningful and a more skilled way. So as they do develop the new skills and that they get older, then they'll be able to go into different parts of the business and of course go beyond that $12,000 a year when the time comes to earn an income as a part-time job. All of this is to say that the kids have tremendously increased their understanding of money and the whole idea of an economy and how it works and spending power and how much things cost. Because when they have to spend their money, they're much more tuned to what is the price tag than if they're just saying, hey, buy me this thing, buy me that thing, buy me this other thing. It's like, well, how much is it? Oh, okay. Well, how many weeks of allowance is that? Oh, okay. Well, how many school lunches are you foregoing? Oh, okay. It puts it into context as they're learning the different trade-offs. And so again, every year they get older, we introduce new concepts, we give them more spending power, we give them more opportunity to earn. and they're just continuing to develop that muscle of practicing of how much is this thing, how much do I want it, how much do I have, what is my smoothest path to get from here to there. And it's been fascinating and so gratifying to watch them learn. Several resources here for you. 2 books available on Amazon. Family Bank Blueprint is for you. It outlines all of the ways that I just went through in the last hour or so of how to set up the family bank, as well as a bunch of here's what we tried and here's how it worked out, to give you some ideas of where you might be able to play around with some of this stuff with your family. GoldQuest is actually for your kids. One of my kids' mom friends, I was telling her about my idea. This was several years ago, and she's like, "Oh, that's great, but I'm too busy. I don't know. We're doing all this other stuff that we're teaching, you know." And I said, well, what if I could teach your kids some of these concepts? And so GoldQuest was born. So 12-year-old twins, Buck and Penny, haha, they fall into their video game. They find themselves trapped there. And the way that they get out and escape from GoldQuest, is the name of the video game, is by learning all these smart money management techniques. And, and they learn about the wily ways of marketing, and they learn about immediate instant gratification versus saving, and they learn about entrepreneurship. And it's a fun read for the kids. At the end of GoldQuest are some questions, so that if you want to do like a book club at night at dinner, you can say, oh, well, what did this character do? Or, well, what was that character represented? And is Uncle Sammy a good guy or a bad guy? And he's, of course, representing the tax man. But it just gives you a lot of ideas to have the conversations and say, well, what do you think? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? And should they do this or shouldn't they do this? And what did you think of that? And it just gets you a little insight into their mind as they're learning through story, which is how kids learn the best. So it's really good for, we'll call it 8 years and up, and just a fun little read. So with that, additional resources for you. I am on many of the social platforms. I'm trying to figure out where all my people are. So I may not be on all of these forever, but right now I am on Facebook. You can follow me at Brooke Lennon Author. I'm also on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all at Brooke Lennon _XO. And then on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Brooksy. You can also go to brooklennon.com. I've got some newsletters that periodically come out. I do not sell your info. I send them out maybe once every 2 months, maybe every month or so. It's not a lot. So you will not get spammed by me, I promise, because I can't stand it when I get that. But I do have a mission. My mission is to create 1 million millionaires, preferably 30 and under. And I would love for your kids to be some of those. So please join the mission. Follow me, join the conversation. Let's engage. And I just thank you so much. This has been so much fun. In conclusion, give your kids abundant opportunity to practice earning, spending, and saving money within the context of being a kid. You will just be delighted with the progress that you see over the course of time. Thank you so much.